or, you know, but point is, I like that scene. I was getting a message on my camera there, probably going a little longer than I need to. Uh, my the end scene. Yeah, let me get to this. Let me just fast forward. The scene Tony and his father was nice. I don't think they needed to spend as much time as they did with that, but I get it. This is Robert Downey Jr. giving him a send off, touching on Tony's history. They did a great job with all these characters to touch on their history. Like, I've heard a lot of people say it was a love letter to the fans of the MCU and a love letter, or however you want to call it, to close out previous movies, like touching on little threads from old movies. Of course, that is something I was not appreciating the first time I saw the movie, and so because I had my little beefs with it. But when I went back, and this is the thing about these movies, you have to go in looking at them within the context of what they're intended to be. And Endgame is not a standalone movie. And when you're making a movie that's whole purpose to tie up other movies, you're going in already like under the gun, or you know what I mean, behind the eight ball in terms of how good the movie can be on its own. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I never thought Return of the Jedi was the best Star Wars movie. I basically feel like the other two are better. And Empire Strikes Back is definitely my favorite one of those three. So same concept, but just multiply that by what, 7? Because 3 movies, 22 movies. Come on now. But yeah, they didn't need to spend as much time with that. I love the fact that they brought back actors that were already in to keep the continuity. Having Cap see Peggy Carter, I knew that was going to happen, because another theory that I had, that I've posted on a video, that I figured something he's going to do, he's going to choose to be in the past, and that's how they're going to get him out of the storyline. So I'm kind of moving ahead now, and that is basically how that played out, more or less. So Cap, I got no Cap's story in this movie was great. Captain America, in case I haven't said it before, is my favorite MCU character, my favorite Avengers, favorite member of the Avengers. And man, like, it just was solidified with this movie. Chris Evans, like, if he don't do nothing else, he has cemented his legend in Hollywood, in my opinion, for his portrayal of Captain America going back to 2011 to 2019. So, phenomenal 8-year run. Everything he did in that time span built upon it. Everything. Every one of the movies he appeared in. But yeah, so that wasn't a surprise to see the hinting at that when he saw her, that he was just thinking about that life he never had. Oh yeah, I mean, you know, like, just since we're talking about Captain America, well, no, never mind. I was going to talk about Bucky and Falcon, but I forget, they're dusted, so they wouldn't have had a lot of role in this movie. But so that scene, it was cool, but like I said, that probably could have been time they could have spent, give us a little more on the Hulk and Banner situation. Okay. Anyway, let's jump to where we at now. So, the revisiting of this of Avengers 2012, the Battle of New York. Love that. Cap fighting himself, talking about, I can do this all day. It's like, yeah, I know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's a different Cap now. He's like a little more sardonic and, you know, cynic, listening to himself. The thing with the Hulk busts in, which, you know, I saw somebody say that was like a nod to Back to the Future, because he busts in the door and messes something up, and I was like, dang, that did happen in Back to the Future. That was dope. Loki gets the cube and disappears, which sets up his series. I believe that's going to set up his series on Disney Plus. I love that. seeing Robert Redford's character again, seeing Cap get in the elevator with them dudes. I mean, just dope. I mean, I was geeking out over that. Mark kind of, not marking out. I never had a mark out moment in this movie, and that's disappointing because I definitely had a couple in Infinity War. But yeah, so that was just dope to redo that, and then he did the Hail Hydra. Just genius stuff they did there. If you follow the other movies, like Throwback to Winter Soldier, great stuff. So now let's just fast forward. The end battle, well, the other major thing at this point is Black Widow's death. That scene, here's the problem. I had heard the spoiler. Someone just threw that comment out there. Black Widow dies, Iron Man dies. I saw this in just a simple comment. And again, those things, I had heard that Cap was going to wield Mjolnir. I had heard that Hulk was going to wear the gauntlet. These are things I saw, just quick statements and people spoiling stuff in comment sections. So I think going in knowing those things, I wasn't even mad to hear that. The Black Widow thing I took with a grain of salt because I remember people saying Rhodey died and that some other people died in Infinity War, and that didn't happen. Somebody said Rhodey died again in Endgame. This dude's got 9 lives because he still ain't dying. But yeah. But I did hear that Gamora died, so it's like the same thing. The person who's dying over the Soul Stone got spoiled for me in both movies, and it sucks, man. Because unlike Gamora's cool. But Black Widow, if you don't know, first of all, I love Scarlett Johansson. Secondly, Black Widow is one of my favorite characters in the MCU, bar none, across the board, and one of my favorite Avengers. Because again, everything she's touched in the MCU has been great. From her first appearance in Iron Man 2, killed it in Winter Soldier, killed it in Age of Ultron. I loved her in Age of Ultron. She's been badass before. I mean, Captain Marvel's a super powered being, but come on, Black Widow's been holding it down. What else? Loved her in Civil War. So she had a diminished role kind of in Infinity War, but Anyway, so that really should have been something I honestly feel like I should have been shedding a tear when she died. But between the fact that I heard that she was going to die already, and I'll be honest, I still wasn't sure. If they were going back and forth, I was like, well, man, maybe somebody was just trying to say some crap and didn't know what they were talking about, just trying to be a troll and be an ass. Because it looked like Hawkeye might do it. But then I kept thinking, he's not going to do that because, he's got a family. But it made sense that he would just not care if it meant bringing his family back. So that was well done. In that, yeah, you sent the mortal people, the most mortal characters to get this stone. And I've heard people say, well, why wouldn't Nebula have told them that they were going to... She didn't know that. You got to remember, she knows that Thanos went to Vormir with Gamora and came back without her and came back with the stone. Doesn't mean she knows he had to kill Gamora or sacrifice anybody to get the stone. She don't know that. For all she know, her point was he took her to Vormir, killed her, and then went and got the stone because he knew where it was now, so he didn't have any more use for her. That's the way I interpreted it in Infinity War. That she looked at it like that. She didn't look at it like she now knew that you have to sacrifice a person to get the stone. That's called assuming she saw what we saw, and that's not how that works. So, that being said, here's the thing. That was a dramatic scene, and those two actors killed it. Their chemistry from the first Avengers movie, you really believe these two have been working with S.H.I.E.L.D. and that they've had adventures together. I also heard someone say something like, well, how would that work that, she basically committed suicide, sacrificed herself to get the stone for Clint, whereas Thanos had to throw his daughter. And see, what I realized, this is my theory, I think it makes perfect sense because, and they were saying because when Gamora tried to kill herself, he stopped her, so on and so forth. So he knew that a suicide wasn't going to get the job done. But here's the thing. Thanos, remember, the reality is Thanos loved Gamora. That's how he was able to get the stone. If he didn't really love her, he shed a tear. She don't feel like he loved her, but in his own way he did. That's why he threw her off, because he knew he loved her, and he knew that was a sacrifice for him. And that's how, obviously, it was real, because it gave him the stone. She didn't love Thanos, though. So her committing suicide wouldn't have given him the stone at all or anything. She was trying to do that so he wouldn't be able to kill her. Because at that moment she did know, oh shoot, this dude actually shedding tears on me, so maybe he does love me and he does feel like he has to. You see what I'm trying to say? You got to follow all that in those quick moments. So I'm saying compare that to Clint and Black Widow, or Natasha. They loved each other. So that's I look at it like their friendship, whoever these two people are, if the two people that are there love each other, any one of them could sacrifice themselves and the stone would go to the other person, if that makes sense. Because it said a soul for a soul. It didn't say the person who gets the stone has to sacrifice another person. Even though maybe he did say that. He probably did say that, but it's like you could kind of, kind of loophole that stipulation and loophole it to just say if the two people are there, love each other, one of them must be sacrificed in order for the stone to be released. Does that make sense? It's kind of a new way of saying it. And therefore, yeah, it is a little messed up because Thanos is actually sacrificing Gamora to get it, whereas Clint did not sacrifice Black Widow to get it. So yes, realistically, that's not consistent, but I'm okay with it because it still makes sense in that they both loved each other, so her sacrifice gives the stone to the other person because he did love her. That's all I'm going with. And that was dramatic. I mean, he played that. You saw just how, just imagine how he feels about that. Like, what they've been through, and for her to go out like that. And, at the end, it was a heroic move that he was willing to make himself. And, he had been out here killing suckers mercilessly on some old Punisher vengeance type stuff. So he felt like, come on, let me do that. I've almost made myself dirty. But it's almost a redemption for her. She's had a sordid past, which hopefully we're going to see in the Black Widow movie that I expect to come out next year, 2020. Be a prequel, probably show some of her backstory. So there we go. That's that. But yeah, knowing that she was having it spoiled that she would be dead or die somehow. First of all, I didn't know that's how it was going to happen, so I'm just thinking maybe she dies in battle. So it's not like somebody just spoiled it and said she's going to die to get the Soul Stone. So it was still a little bit of a shock. But once they were there in that moment and they're both on the edge of the cliff, I knew she's going to go. And I feel bad that I wasn't more emotionally moved by that because, again, I love Scarlett Johansson. I love the character Black Widow. One of my favorite movie characters ever put on screen, honestly. To me, like the way people love Tony Stark, I love Black Widow. Like that's how I feel. Like she's up there with them when it comes to Thor, Cap, Iron Man. Like she easily is right up there. It's not like you got to look at her as, oh yeah, in Black Widow. So, then we get to. So let's just fast forward into the final battle. I love the twist of how 2014 Thanos figures this stuff out or finds this stuff out and finds a way to get back. That's a twist. Because I did have this feeling from the trailers and previews there was going to have to be another battle with him. Because you see it, the scene where the big three, as we call them, even though I don't like saying that, because what about the Hulk? Come on now. When did there get to be a big three and he's not? Oh, well, anyway, I guess they're the three characters that have had solo movies. Walking up on him, the ad scene, you see them walking up on him, so you had to figure, well, that's got to be in this movie at some point. didn't know how, and this is where I love how they've managed to keep a lot of that stuff secrets. So for it, I wouldn't have thought that, like, oh, he's gonna find a way to come get them in a modern day, especially after his head got cut off. So I kind of forgot about him, but I knew he's gonna have to find some way to end up back there. So I guess I should have been thinking about, I wasn't really letting those wheels turn. I was like, let them tell me how it's going to happen. You don't always have to be sitting there trying to figure everything out, the next move. So when that did happen, I guess basically once they captured the modern day Nebula in the 2014 Nebula, brought her back and took the piece of her head, then I kind of know, oh yeah, he's going to find out what they're doing and find a way to go back and try to interrupt that. But even when that scene happened, okay, so now let's get to my man Hulk. So this is kind of a sidebar, but it's still in line with what I'm talking about. My biggest problem with this, and it's still unforgivable at this point, and I realize it's going to be an offense, a what's that word that you say? It starts with a C. I don't know. I'm losing my great ability to use vocabulary. It's I don't want to say sin. It's another word. Anyway, it's an offense that I realize I'm not probably ever going to forgive in this movie for as long as I live and as long as it exists as a classic. And that is that we just didn't get the Hulk. This right here. This is my problem. They did not unleash the Hulk. I wore this shirt on purpose because I've been leading up to this point. Because Thor gets his moment, even though he was still fat Thor. So when he got that scene was dope. When he summoned his lightning and change and had his braided beard and his bun on top of his head, he looked dope. So it was like, okay, now this is back to that Ragnarok Thor, that Infinity War Thor, but he was fat. And I just thought, come on, you still gonna keep him with a gut, huh? Even with the armor over his belly, whatever. And he's got Mjolnir and Stormbreaker, dope. I didn't mark out though. I don't know. I was in that moment, I guess because I was just still looking at his freaking stomach. If he'd went back to the Thor, I probably would have had more of a reaction to that. But whatever, it was still dope. I felt a chill go up my spine when that happened. But yeah, going back to the Hulk, just throughout the movie, I'm just waiting for him to be Hulkish. They even went as far as to like kind of make him comical in the 2012 scene, where he's walking down the stairs and he's just like, too many stairs, or like, wait a minute, come on, what are y'all doing? This dude was beasting in that movie. Why is he saying like mumbling, murmuring to himself like a pouty kid? Because y'all want laughs again. Because now they want to use him for comic relief. And I was thinking to myself earlier today, they Draxed him. I'm gonna call that Draxing somebody, because that's what they did with Drax from the first Guardians to the second Guardians. He's Drax's destroyer. He wasn't destroying nothing in Guardians 2, and he literally was the comic relief of that movie, the main one. I didn't really care for that. Anyway, back to Endgame. So yeah, I mean, why didn't he just jump out of the building? He was jumping all over the place prior to that. This is the same Hulk who just finished punching that Leviathan creature and, was just tearing crap up. Now he's too many stairs, Don't do that. That's not who he was back then. Anyway, but it was, again, visually it was kind of cool seeing the new Professor Hulk watching himself, because it was, you could see the differences in the character and the posture and body language. But then it was like he did something like he was just like this, like he was embarrassed by it. I don't know. I didn't appreciate that. Let the Hulk be the Hulk. So anyway, yeah, he puts on the gauntlet. He does the snap. That scene was kind of dope because it was like showing how powerful he is, that he was able to handle that. But I'm gonna be honest, that went kind of over my head in a sense in terms of appreciation, because it was actually my young brother that had to point that out. Because when we left the movie, I made a video of like how we felt about our favorite Avengers. And in that video, when it was my turn, my brother had said my main man, the Hulk, he was like the MVP, but something like that. I had to say one of my favorites is the Hulk, but I got to disagree with my brother because I didn't like the way they used. Because again, I was expressing that right there. I was pissed at the way they used the Hulk, and he said, he was like, well, he was the one that kind of helped him go back into time, and he actually thought that it was Hulk's idea to go back in time. We had to kind of correct him, like, no, it was actually Ant-Man who thought that would work. And then they went to Tony before they even went to Hulk. So he was the third person really involved in it. But he was the one that first got it to work on some level. So again, and I just finished watching a video where somebody was still, this conversation is going to continue to go on, like people's grievances and gripes with Thor and Hulk, Those are the only two characters I've really seen a lot of gripes with. And seeing different perspectives of it, it's like, yeah, they did give him some honorable actions, like being the one scientifically. He was a scientist in the movie that helped him get the time travel thing started. He was working with Tony and all that stuff, similar to what he did in Age of Ultron. And he did have that pivotal conversation with the Ancient One, which I enjoyed that. And when she did the thing when she separated them, I had a little hope. I actually had some hope right there that something different was going to happen. Like, okay, now the Hulk can be the Hulk. Didn't happen, man. Freaking put him to sleep and crap. And then, but yeah, so him putting on the glove and being able to be the one to make the snap. I saw it obviously, but it didn't impress me, I guess. In the heat of the moment, actually watching, it wasn't really dawning on me, and I wasn't really grasping like, wow, the Hulk is the one that just did that. So obviously that's right before they realize it looks like it worked because they see new life outside, but then Thanos comes right in shooting up their facility, which was a dope scene because it really threw me. I'm like, what the heck is going on here? Like I said, I had forgot that he probably was about to come and attack. You don't know what it's going to be at that moment. So that was well done. And it set up the final battle superbly. I've heard one of my favorite YouTubers, a couple of YouTubers, they've said that the last hour of the movie and that last battle scene is the best hour and best battle scene in the history of superhero comic book related movies. I can't really dispute that. It's just, I don't know. Maybe that's not really saying much when you actually stop and think about it, because it wasn't all that to me. It was not. In other words, it wasn't that much better than Infinity War. Let's put it like that, or Civil Wars, or the first Avengers movie. You know what I mean? To me, it's just like it was probably better than Age of Ultron. Well, Age of Ultron thing had some dope moments with Scarlet Witch and even Quicksilver. But yeah, that's probably one of the weaker ones. Although Vision's battle with Ultron was dope. Another side note, that's why another movie that people crap on, I like Age of Ultron for the Vision alone. I think he was dope. It's unfortunate with how he was used in after that, between Civil War and Infinity War. He got kind of dumbed down. So it's like they've had a problem sometimes bringing characters in super powered and build them up with their abilities and their powers, and then subsequent movies they have to kind of power them down or dumb them down, or dumb down their characters or power down their characters, one or the other, to kind of give other people pushes. It reminds me of wrestling a lot. I'm a big wrestling head, not anymore, but historically, so I know those kind of things happen in the world of wrestling. It happens in all kind of TV soap operas. I admittedly watch soap operas most of my life, so it's like funny how the parallels between these things, because you push certain characters and you got to crap on other ones to make other ones look good. I don't know why that is. It must be just the way it happens when you have to write something that's scripted or drama, because in real sports it's just another athlete will just overtake you. But when stuff is not, it's being predetermined and it's, I don't know, performance based or something, and you're trying to give a real depiction of, that's what it is. When you're trying to depict reality with a script, the only way you do know how to do it is it's like I guess what God does in life, some people get their moments and other people don't. That's really what's happening with us. We just don't have a person like actually theoretically writing a script for us and making some of us have successes over others and other people looking bad because this person looks good. I guess that is what happens in life. But again, we don't know. We don't sit here and say, well, this guy just wrote this way. Like, why? Like, why? What's your decision to make this character all of a sudden? And I'm gonna get into that. And this isn't even a complaint, but I'm just saying, for example, to me, I'm sure part of their process in going into this movie is that all of the OG Avengers are, they're trying to move on from them storyline wise, and because these actors' contracts are up. So I get that. You had to do something. You kill Natasha, you kill Tony. You send Thor off at the end to be the Guardians of the Galaxy. He don't even want to run Asgard. He's trying to find himself now. Who else? Clint, I guess, is just going to retire. So you're trying to move on from some of these characters. The Hulk, I was always curious, and I said this in my pre-game or weeks before the movie came out video. I was just curious, what are they going to do with him? Because I knew they're not going to kill the Hulk. Some people would say that. It's like, if they killed him, that would be ridiculous. Like, how is he supposed to die? Come on. But I knew they had to do something, and I was curious. I had heard a spoiler, which turned out to be not true, that somebody said something like he was going to have amnesia and not know how to change back into the Hulk, which was so far from the truth because he never even was Banner in the movie at all. Well, after the 5 years. So that wasn't true. So thank goodness that spoiler was just a troll. But still, our resolution is supposed to be, I guess, after he made the snap, it damaged his arm so bad. So first of all, he's got a messed up arm. So that's like saying he's never going to be the Hulk powerful character anymore. And that's going to relinquish. That's going to relegate him to just being the brain Hulk and not the brute Hulk, I guess. So, but he's not dead, so who knows if they can continue to use him. My point is, for that to be what we get from the end of this movie, not satisfactory for me. See, this is the thing. I realize these movies are different things to different people, but to me, by nature, superhero movies, MCU in particular, is built upon all these characters. If you're going to bring all these characters in, well, you could almost call it now who's who of superheroes. Of course, they wouldn't be to the average people. I'm saying the way they've built the characters. They've done a phenomenal job of making great characters that people love. People going to have their favorites. Hulk is my favorite. So, I'm sorry. I'm walking into every one of these movies like, okay, what y'all going to do with him? And it's an admitted bias. I can be objective and say it's still a good movie, and I get what they were doing with him. They wanted to do something different. They said they were going to do an arc with his character and take him in a different direction. And again, objectively knowing they got to find a way to kind of minimize him and take him out of being the Hulk character, since we're not really probably going to see too much of him. So they have to have a storyline explanation. That being said, I guess I'm just saying their choice of direction for that, I don't like it. If it had been, I don't know, if it had been him being Professor Hulk and just deciding to go off somewhere because now he feels, I don't know, that he's better use in the cosmos or something. I don't know. But really, we don't know. He has a bad arm. That's not even really, it's almost like that's contradictory because you still didn't give us an ending for him. And then my point is, how do you have the dude whose iconic I'm always angry moment from the first Avengers movie, nothing to even come close to that in either Infinity War or Endgame? That's just inexcusable to me as people who respect in the properties, the characters they're working with. I'm not trying to knock them, but dang, that's just whack, man. man, that's just whack. Y'all dropped the ball with that. Just something. He don't even have to be the dude. I mean, how does he not even go toe to toe with Thanos again? Again, if you're not a big Hulk fan, or you're just super, super objective, you're probably just like, dude, come on. There's a lot of people that see it the way I'm saying it. How do you not do that? How do you not do that? A lot of what was happening in that sequence, the final battle, was what you call fan service. The moment Cap gets Mjolnir, which, like I said, I had it spoiled. So again, that's one of those moments. It was dope, but the minute Thanos was pushing Stormbreaker into Thor's chest, I said, Cap's about to hit him with Mjolnir. I knew it. Now, of course, I didn't know it was going to do the thing where you see it shaking and it flies past him, and then you see Cap catch it. Dope. I mean, it is a dope scene. So that can't take anything away from it. But a lot of, again, my point, again, with these movies, for me, is what did it make me feel like? I can look at it objectively. It was well done. It's a dope scene on paper, visually, everything. But what it represents, objectively in the storyline, just the payoff of when he moved it a little bit in Age of Ultron. The fact that for comic book nerds, he does wield Mjolnir in the comics. That kind of stuff. Fan service. Fan service of comics, fan service of people who follow the MCU. You see what I'm saying? Brilliant. They're hitting both cases. And I guess by having Professor Hulk's character in it, they're servicing those fans too. In fact, I don't know if this Hulk wield the gauntlet in the Infinity Gauntlet comic, which I do own. I'm reading it. I thought I would have finished it by the time Endgame came out, because I actually bought it. I probably bought it like a month or two after Infinity War came out. So I've had it for almost a year and just didn't get around to it. I'm just too busy. But I'm reading it now, and I'm going to continue to read it. But that's fan service. But I don't know. I needed some fan service for Hulk. Have him have another moment where he is Beast, where he punches something, destroys some shit. You know what I'm saying? And definitely have a one-on-one with Thanos, even if it's like he don't get to whoop Thanos' ass and like Thanos has like a bailout at the last moment. And some moment where like Thanos had to say, "Oh shit, this dude," especially and it would have been dope because he's 2014 Thanos. Which again, let me just point out this plot hole real quick. I'm trying to figure out. I think I had the answer. I'm trying to figure out how does Thor in Infinity War throw Stormbreaker through the power of the beam from the gauntlet and hit Thanos in the chest like it ain't nothing. So Stormbreaker was supposed to be a Thanos killing machine. So how is it then when he's wielding it against him plus holding Mjolnir in this movie, Endgame, Thanos is like wrecking shop with them dudes, fighting all three of them, with Thor having both these weapons? Why isn't Stormbreaker killing this dude? Why can't he just kill him right now? Now, the answer, there's two sides of that, I guess, because this is a 2014 Thanos who is still at the top of his physical, combat game. And I think they tried to show that by when he first walked in to that scene in 2014 scenes where he's already bleeding from just coming in from murdering people. I mean, not bleeding, he's blood covered from killing suckers. That's number one. So he's already he's younger, he's at the top of his battle game, whatever. And then the other reason will be, I guess, it's kind of more my theory, is like the explanation again will be, Thor is fat and he hasn't been in battle, and he's not really himself. Yeah, he's got his weapons and he's commanding the lightning or whatever, but he's rusty. Let's just put it like that. Simply put, and I imagine if you would have asked the writers, directors, producers, people, that would be their explanation. Because they got an explanation for everything. Is that he's rusty, and I'll buy that. So he's not really wielding it with the power that he should. So, but yeah, Cap with Mjolnir fighting Thanos was sick. It was dope, and again, I loved it. As a Cap fan, I loved it. I'm all for it. But it was kind of like, wait a minute, now this dude's shooting lightning. It's almost, again, it's like they almost went overboard. They went kind of overboard with it, man. But it was sick. It was sick. Like, I started laughing at one point. Like, I wasn't marking. I was laughing because he was doing. It's like, in like, my lady was like saying the same thing. Like, wait, what is he doing? Like, this dude is Thor now. Like, what the heck is going on here? And I think some people are probably looking at it like that. Like, it's almost like in a moment you're stunned. Like, real comic book geeks, I guess, were loving it. I couldn't really appreciate it as much as they probably did because I'm just, part of me is like still being a little too analytical or practical about, like, what, okay, I like that he's using it, but now he just went off. All of a sudden he is tearing Thanos up, shooting lightning, beating this dude's ass. And it was like, again, I actually would have rather seen Thor do that. But these are like decisions I guess they were really making purposely. Like, let's give this moment to Cap instead of Thor, because we've seen Thor do that, I guess. Because, like, in the end, Thor was still a dude who needed to be saved. So I didn't really like that. I want Thor and Hulk to be the badasses, and they really weren't. Although Thor had some badassery. So going back to Hulk, yeah, he was holding up a building, so that's pretty commendable. He's holding up the building so Rhodey and Rocket don't die, and it's like, as I was thinking about it, this is the first time I saw it, and I'm looking at it like, so that was like y'all's attempt to still show, well, look at the Hulk, he is still strong. It's not that he's not doing anything. He's actually doing something very important. He's keeping these people alive, holding up that building, showing